All right, everyone, welcome back. We got another Showdown slate here that we're going to be reviewing. We're playing cash for this Showdown slate. Commanders at Kansas City Chiefs. We are going to be playing cash, so I'm just going to kind of run through my process, kind of go through some of these ETR articles, kind of see where the vibes are there. All right. 12 in PROE. Yeah. Rush rate elevated here, even 11-point spread. So good. So this is kind of something. This right here is kind of why. This is not why, but this kind of backs up my idea of wanting to play JCM on today's slate. Back 50% playing with a lead against Wash defense. Yep. Bad versus the play. They're slightly better versus the rush. Yep. I am in agreement there. So we're already kind of looking at Mahomes plus a pass catcher. Obviously, both quarterbacks, so it's cash. We want to raise that floor. Want to get in JCM because he's running back. Debo and McLaurin are back. So I think this is a good way. Like, Debo and McLaurin is good for Mariota. He'll have a fully healthy room of pass catchers. And they tend to pretty much spread the target share. It doesn't really condense on anyone. So if we're betting on an aspect of the Commanders that are going to be condensed, it's going to be that run game. We have them together. Samuels leads the pair in target share. So Debo with the higher target share. Terry with the higher ADOT. I just don't see myself being able to get to any of these guys in cash. I think like Jalen Lane's pretty price prohibitive, and Chris Moore and Luke McCaffrey just don't have that floor that I'm looking for. Yeah, so Ertz was somebody that I've been trying to get at. I want to see if I can get a build that's comparable to the optimal. Yeah. Seems ADOT climbed to 8, but he doesn't hit the pay dirt, despite that 5.6K price tag. And it could be one thing that the field might be doing to get a little bit more unique off of the 5-1 Chiefs builds, to try and get to like a 4-2 and put in Ertz with Mariota as the stack. And that's kind of why my thought is going with Krosky Merritt with Mariota and 4 Chiefs. Yep, he's got the rush share. He's running a route on dropbacks. We know McNichols is coming off of, he'll be in there for the passing downs. Yep, we already know we're starting both quarterbacks in cash. Yep, okay. We know Rice has a very strong role. So I wonder if maybe we'll see what we can get. Let's pull up the notes here and just get an idea of things that we want to test. here. We want to get want to test out an Ertz lineup. Rashee Rice captain. Xavier Worthy. Yep, his route participation is the same. Very explosive stuff for Worthy. Yeah, obviously these guys are all going to take a hit. Not really interested in Juju. Brown ran around 48% of dropbacks. That's fine. 48% dropbacks. They ran just so many plays. They ran 72 plays last week. They were like more than double the Raiders snaps that game. Really Thornton's down in the conversation for cash. Yep, Kelsey. I think the kind of the Pacheco stuff is pretty fragile. I think he'll like pretty much have to score 2 touchdowns, I think. So yeah, we know these guys. We know these 3 are cash game locked no matter what. So it's just a matter of getting the other 3 in there. I think that Pacheco, there's a lot of avenues to him failing. There's more avenues to him failing than him hitting. I think I'm okay betting against Pacheco scoring 2 long touchdowns or, 2 touchdowns from kind of the green area. I really like Harrison Butker with the high team total in cash. Not really interested in Juju that much. So I think we're kind of in this area where it's going to be like either Rice or Worthy. Right, we can like Worthy 1v1 off the optimal because the optimal has Rashee Rice in it. And then it's like it's either Pacheco or JCM because they are right next to each other, and this would be a JCM 1v1 off the optimal that has Pacheco in it. So let's test that out. I think we're just going to lock Mahomes in the captain. And we're going to lock Mariota because he's a quarterback. They're going to score the most points. Let's lock in Ertz and let's optimize 100 lineups and see what comes out if we can get anything comparable with Ertz. I don't think we will. So this is getting us like Noah Gray, which is not a guy that we're interested in. Decent amount of Juju. Decent amount of Hunt. I really don't want to play a KC running back. If Hunt takes all the passing work, Pacheco takes all the between the 20s work, and Hunt takes the red zone work, you don't want any of them. So let's optimize that. Without them, I just wasn't seeing anything that I was like in love with. We're going to get to a lot of Rice. We're going to get to some McNichols, which I do like that lineup. This second lineup is one that I find interesting, which is like a 3-3. We can save that to just have an Ertz lineup and see what that looks like. So obviously it's going to push us to a lot of Bucker. Bucker's really optimal. So where are the non-Rashee Rice lineups? This is not. So this is one that's going to leverage off Rashee Rice for Worthy. How often? Worthy's showing up like 23%, so about half as optimal as Rashee. So this is a valid Ertz lineup, I think. Something to consider. This is a lineup that I have in my head that I want to go with. I'm not like fist pumping to play Juju. So I want to play with that lineup a little bit. If we were to do Captain Mahomes, can't do that. Mariota, JCM, Worthy. Let's optimize that. So obviously can't fit in 100 because only 2 spots, so I can only do so many lineups. We're getting to. I don't know if I love this one with McNichols and Krosky Merritt. I feel like I'm more inclined to play this one. Just like Mariota, Ertz, JCM with Worthy. I am interested in this one a little bit. I just want to get away from playing Juju. We take out Krosky Merritt. And we optimize. How often does Juju show up? 21%? It's going to push us to a lot of 5-1s. Still getting Juju at like 30%. We're getting 21%. I do think this one is interesting. Right? It's not something that the field's going to do a ton. But I just don't know how valuable McNichols is going to be in a game where all of the pass catchers are playing. I feel like it's one of those things where it's either Krosky Merritt or McNichols. Oh, we don't need to do that. We already have. He's already 100%. Rashee Rice showing up 13% optimal. Okay. Let's check the sim analysis here. Chiefs, yeah, that makes sense. Most often found in Harris. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, that all makes sense to me. Yeah. Suffocate all the four. Okay, has maxed out at 5 touches any game. And Chris has been targeted since December. Not great. Yeah. Okay. So, let's pop back open this. Let's get Pacheco in there. Let's get these guys all in there. Let's sim and grab the optimal. So this is the one that I'm considering playing, which is a 1v1 off of the optimal. Pacheco versus Krosky Merritt. But I want to see what a 2v2 would look like. We're getting 70% Mahomes captain, which I think is like not much we can do about that. %2 Captain Harrison Bucker. That's kind of cool. Let's save this. So actually, in all likelihood, this would be like a 3v3 off the optimal. Because if we go down from Rice to Worthy, we're going to get $1,000 to do something with that. So let's import the optimal. Okay, so we know we want to play JCM over Pacheco. I think Pacheco is just a much more fragile projection than JCM. We want to go Worthy, which is a 5-point drop off from projection. So we're not going to get really close to that. And then we can get in McNichols. It's going to be projected at 91. So we're going to be at 6 points off the optimal. 97.3 versus 91. What is that? 3.4 versus 3.8. So just under 6 points off the optimal. This is a 3v3 off the optimal. And we can't do better than McNichols. I mean, we could, right? We can go up to Juju, but it's 4.75 or it's 4.64, so 0.1 difference. I think we're just giving up too much projection in this case. I mean, she got 10 targets, man. How many targets did Worthy get? 4 targets, 4 targets. And we're not really getting to anybody significantly improved over Juju's projection. So let's just put Rice back in here. We can't even get to Taekwon. Caught a pass for 39 yards. And this is the second optimal. I think it's a good 1v1. And I almost want to play... I think I might play... Like, we could still cash 2 cash lineups, I think. Oh, first time here. Came check late. Sorry, I wasn't even looking at the chat. Dream Truth Rises, thank you for stopping by here. Just going over some of the Showdown slate for tonight. We're playing Showdown Cash. So, yeah, I think what we can do, select, take these, delete all these other ones. Okay, so this is the optimal. This is the 1v1 off the optimal that I think is better. I think Pacheco just has a really fragile projection. His workload could get cannibalized. And if we want to do a worthy lineup, worthy, flex, worthy, Mariota. I'm going to get JCM in there with Butker. And then we want to get up to McNichols. So now this is a 3v3 off the optimal with Mahomes, Mariota. That's staying the same. Butker staying the same. So then we're going worthy to leverage off of Rasheed. Then we're going JCM as opposed to Pacheco. I think JCM is just a better option tonight than Pacheco with a backup quarterback in. And then McNichols over Juju. And I think if we do this, let me save this lineup. I actually do want to like just dock Pacheco a point. If we just dock him 1 point, and then we just sim the optimal, I think the lineup that we want to play will actually be the optimal. I gotta change the actual projection, not the sim projection. Cancel that. And really what we would just be doing is we'd have a one lineup that's a 1v1 off the optimal, and then a second lineup that'd be a 2v2 off the optimal. So it's probably easier to look at that this way, right? This middle lineup here, I'm going to tag this as true optimal. And tag this one as my optimal. And then we'll call this one worthy leverage. So this is when people just come into the solver and they just want to put in, give me the highest projected lineup, they're going to get this. I think this is wrong. I think Pacheco should be docked a point, maybe even less. You kind of just look at his recent game logs. 12, scored a touchdown. Got no touchdown on any of the other ones. 7 for 34. He caught a touchdown here, so really he absolutely has to get a touchdown to get his projection. And just with Kareem Hunt's goal line work and Brashard Smith's receiving work, I kind of just want to fade that. So you compare it to this one, I think JCM is a better play. We'll listen to 80% of the optimal and switch off into our 1v1. And then in this lineup, we take the optimal and we say, let's leverage off of Rashee Rice for Worthy, and then we can pay up for McNichols instead of Juju. My only hesitation in a lineup like this is, do I want to play both of the Commanders running backs? And if we come back over to the simulator here, why is Pacheco projected for 17 here? What is that all about? Oh, that is the captain. Okay, I was going to say, whew. If we pop this Worthy lineup back in, what are our other options outside of McNichols? We don't really want to play Commanders D. Right? I mean, Chiefs are 11-point favorites, projected to score 30. So we have this head-to-head of McNichols versus Kareem Hunt versus Juju Smith-Schuster. And I'm not thrilled with playing Juju twice just because I don't love his projection, but he's one of the cheaper guys projected for. I mean, he'll get 3 targets. That's kind of where he's just been at all year. I don't think his role will get that heavily impacted. Yep. Yeah, so he'll still be out there. I guess we could just tie break it to what we think the field is going to do. So we check our flex ownership here. Here's Kareem Hunt. Here's McNichols. So they're roughly the same. Chris Moore, nothing really going on there. So Juju is showing up in the optimal more often than McNichols. Like I said, I don't really want to play 2 Juju lineups. So this will kind of be our Juju lineup. That's a 1v1 off the optimal. The question here is, would we rather go with McNichols or with Kareem Hunt? And I think we're estimated like 30% Pacheco ownership to like 10% Kareem Hunt ownership. So I think we're kind of gaining double leverage here. If we played Kareem Hunt over McNichols. That's a tough one. Dream Truth Rises. If you got any input here, you want to help me tie break between Jeremy McNichols and Kareem Hunt, I am open to suggestions if you're able to sway me one way or the other, if you're still here. Yeah, it's just Kareem Hunt has been like one of the best backs in short yardage situations. So like I think he's still gonna get his. It's not giving me too much here. Let's see if we can check the. We could check Silva's write up. Oh, it's written by Daigle. Evan Silva's matchups written by John Daigle. Right. Scroll down here. All right, let's see what Daigle has here. 11 of Rashard Smith's season came after the half yet. Sounds about right. Kareem Hunt blocks Isaiah Pacheco, both 4-0 inside the 5. Yeah, I think I kind of just talked my. I think not talked to myself. I think John Daigle talked me into going Kareem Hunt over McNichols. McNichols is maxed out at 5 touches in any game. I mean, he always could rip one, right? But I think the smarter play is just playing the double leverage. We go Worthy, and then we play Kareem Hunt. Save that. You prefer Kelsey or Pacheco? I think if I'm going to pick one of them, this is for cash games specifically, I think I would go with Pacheco. I think he probably just more projectable touches than Kelsey does. With Rashee Rice back, he's operating in the same parts of the field that Kelsey traditionally does. We can even check the DVP just to make sure this is the defense versus position ranking. See what position certain defenses are elevating. Commanders are a better matchup for running backs than for tight ends. 1.9 versus 0.8. And I think just, Rashee Rice is such a target sponge, operating in the same field as Kelsey. I would have to just go with Pacheco over him. We could even check I docked Pacheco 1 whole point. I dropped him down from 12.38 to 11.38 just because I think his bet is a little more fragile versus somebody like JCM. But if we're comparing him to Kelsey, I mean, he's 2.5 points clear of Kelsey. And then even with my dock on him, he's 2.5 points clear of Kelsey. So I would have to say I would go with Pacheco there, Sid. So we're going to delete the McNichols lineup, and we're going to go with the double Chiefs leverage off of Pacheco and Rice with Worthy and Hunt in this lineup. And we will play my optimal that has JCM with Juju and Rashee. Get rid of that one. So I think these will be the 2 lineups that I'm going to go with for tonight. We can just sim both of these. If they sim okay, I might throw them in a tournament lineup and just kind of hope we hit the nuts. 241 sim ROI. That's good with me. That's good enough for me to toss that into a tournament, I think. 113 isn't so bad. sim it in like a large field. Sure, 50 cent, 190K. What is this one going to give us? These larger field tournaments usually take a little longer to sim. Dream Truth, Sid, if you guys want to see anything in the optimizer, if you want to see any kind of some lineup sims, or if you guys want me to run some optimals, any kind of skeleton keys that you had, let me know. I'd be happy to run some and we could talk through them. But I think these are the two lineups I'm going to go with for cash tonight. I'll probably just toss them in some cheapo tournaments. Probably do these. Probably toss these in some head-to-heads. Toss these into some double-ups. Nice. Hop back in the lobby. Showdown captain mode. Oh, there's no multi-entry in this one. Okay. All right, well, then I think we'll just load them up on these $5 ones here then. Wow, these are no multi-entry too. What is going on here? There we go. Enter them both in that one. Question: who would you play for Washington? If you're asking who I would play from Washington, it's tough. I mean, for Showdown, you have to play a commander. Right now, I'm getting to a 5-1 build. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that I was thinking through. You could see in their an ETR sim analysis. Which one is this one? They were getting to like 40% of the field is going to be playing 5-1. So I wanted to get into like some 4-2 builds. So I can just show you quickly what my two lineups are for tonight. I'm playing cash game with these two lineups. I'm playing Mariota and JCM from the Washington side. My main thought process behind JCM is I think Pacheco has a kind of a fragile projection. Just because I think like if Kareem Hunt's going to get the goal line work, and then Rashard Smith's going to get the receiving work, that kind of just leaves Pacheco with in between the 20s work, which is like not like almost no high value touches there. So you're really banking on Pacheco scoring a touchdown to hit his projection from, from 10 yards plus out, which I think for me is something that I would comfortably fade. I think Kareem Hunt out-touched both Smith and Pacheco 4-0 from the 5-yard line. So I think I'm pretty comfortable fading Pacheco for JCM. I think JCM is probably the best bet to consolidate any kind of touches between the running backs and the receivers on Washington. They tend to spread the ball out quite a bit there. But how often, if ever, do you captain a team defense like Chiefs tonight and then put in Mahomes, Rice, Worthy, Brown, JCM? I think in tournaments that's a totally viable option there. I think you could easily tell yourself that with a backup quarterback, something weird happens. That Mariota throws a pick six or fumbles a ball on a sack. Just weird stuff tends to happen with backup quarterbacks in the game. I think playing a defense is very viable. We can actually check what the ETR captain ownership is. Give us a little zoom here. Where's Chiefs defense at? Chiefs defense is showing up optimal pretty much less than 5% of the time, but its ownership is kind of even less than that, so that's some pretty good leverage to have Chiefs defense actually as a captain, so could be really good in tournaments. Thoughts on McLaurin pivot off of Pacheco? I'm not too big on McLaurin for a couple reasons, just because it is his first game back with a backup quarterback in the ETR write-up. They talked about how with McLaurin and Debo both on the field, that Debo was out targeting McLaurin, but McLaurin had the higher ADOT. So that kind of just leads to a little bit more variance in someone like McLaurin's outputs there. But I think, again, right, like I would rather bet on McLaurin scoring a long touchdown than Pacheco scoring one from the 10 plus yards out. So I think, yeah, I would probably, like, if I were to pivot off of somebody that is not Pacheco, McLaurin is definitely like a pretty viable option, I would say. All right, let's see if we can enter some of these tournaments here. We're getting this $5 double up. If not, I'll probably have to enter these on my phone. All right. We are going to do some phone entries then, if that's the case. You guys can keep the questions rolling in as you got them. I'm happy to give my my take on anything you guys got. All right, easy, no problem submitting on my phone. There we are in $5. Let's get some of these single entry ones in. You play on FanDuel? I do not play on FanDuel, no. I'd be happy to pull up any of the ETR notes on FanDuel if you want to check those out, but I pretty much just stay over on DraftKings. All right, got some $5 ones in there. This a refresh, see if it at least updated the balance where I've entered. See what the head-to-head streets are looking like here. $461. Describe my previous comment. You can't jam JCM into that build, but you can fit in Ertz. Here, let's see that. So you said we want to get Chiefs defense in. Nice, Worthy, Brown. You can fit JCM into this if I read your message right. So play Chiefs like Chiefs tonight, and then put in Mahomes, Rice, Worthy, Brown, and then JCM. Yeah, no, we can. You're able to fit that in there. Let's see. I wonder if we are able to just get in. I'm totally wrong. Yeah, I think if we actually do this, let's take out Hollywood. I mean, if you really care about the projection, like Pacheco's like 4 points clear of. I mean, technically 5 points, 5.5 points, but with my little dock to him, it's 4.5. This is going to get you like 6 points off the optimal, but I think this is kind of good as well. But I mean, yeah, pretty much you can fit in whoever you want, outside of like obviously like Debo and McLaurin, like the really expensive guys. But yeah, pretty much you can make your pick right with whichever fifth chief you want to add on there. Let's Oh, I do have 2 lineups. I don't know how I want to play that in head to head with 2 lineups. Yeah, let's do both these in another $5 single entry. Cool. All right, and then we'll get these into some tournaments. Oh, that one just filled right as I was trying to enter. Yeah, sure. Fuel of 8,000 there. All right, let's give a quick update here. All right, we're at 99. See, are there any other cheapo tournaments? All right, so we got about $67 in entries for tonight. I think that's gonna do it. Kind of jumping into the Showdown cash world. I think this is kind of fun. It's a lot more different than tournament Showdown, which is like really chasing ceiling and you're trying to get different at captain. But on a site like tonight, where you just have such a massive, massive difference in projection from the top guy to the second guy, in captain ownership and all of that. I think this is a kind of a more of a straightforward slate. So we'll see. We'll see if I can get home with the with two Mahomes captain lineups. But other than that, I'll be back Thursday night, hopefully. We'll see if I can get back in time from work in order to fire up some a quick stream. And Thursday night should be a good one. Hopefully Lamar is back for that one. Ravens, Dolphins, and then always I'll be here Sunday morning doing some main slate DFS cash games. So thank you everybody for tuning in and asking questions. I'm always happy to have viewers and talk to people in the chat. So I'm just not talking to myself the whole time. So thanks.